going to the restroom, I fall down to my knees.
Yeah.
Me cae de rodillas.
Glory to God.
And I began to I didn't understand what was going on. Yo no entendía lo que estaba pasando. And I was falling to my knees, and I had people from the past. Me acuerdo gente del pasado diciéndome, hey, that's David. Hey, David, how you doing? What's going on? Can we help you? I said, yeah, I need help. Take me to the restroom. Llévame al baño. And I remember the restroom was like from here to the gate. El baño era de aquí hacia la cerca de allá. I said, take me to the restroom. I could not make it on my own. Yo no podía llegar solo. And so my friends, they picked me up. And I don't remember these guys at all. They were friends from a long time ago. And they took me to the restroom. And as I got in the restroom, I tried to hold myself up in the stall. Traté de mantenerme allí en el baño con la puerta cerrado, with the door closed behind me. And as I stood up, I remember falling down face first on the toilet. Me acuerdo cayéndome de mi rostro primero al toilet. ¿Cómo se dice? I don't know that one. A donde usa el baño. And it was pee, and it was gross, guys. Y era algo grosero. It was so gross. And I was unconscious. Yo estaba sin consciente. And all I remember was crawling out with my elbows and my knees. Es todo me acuerdo, arrastrándome fuera del baño. And I went close to where the artists were performing and rapping. Me fui cerca donde estaban los artistas rapeando, haciendo esas cosas. And as I went to that place, I remember hearing my heartbeat. Me acuerdo escuchando how do you say heartbeat? El ritmo de mi corazón. You know the movies, how they teach you, how you see it on the movies? It goes, boom, boom. ¿Entienden los movies que hacen el corazón? Boom, boom. And then, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Well, it would go slower and slower. And as it went slower and slower, everybody there told me my eyes were rolling back. Que mis ojos estaban haciendo vueltas en mi cabeza. And they said that my eyes I was gone. And that my face was turning black. And mi cara estaba haciendo como negro. Because I was losing breath, estaba perdiendo respiración, and all I remember was God. Have you found yourself in that situation? That all you can think about is God.
Yeah.
You see, when you go to the place of Penuel, when you go to the place where Jacob found himself, there's no room for nobody else. There's no room for your best friend. There's no room for your mama, your daddy, your sister. There was nobody else that I saw. But I said, God, are you here? And I began to cry out to God in that club. Yo estaba clamando a Dios en esa club. And nothing happened. I said, God, help me. Clamé a Dios. Yo dije, Señor, sálvame. Y nada pasaba. I began to cry out, God. Clamé a Dios. Dios, ayúdame. Nothing happened. Nada pasaba. But you know what I did? ¿Sabe lo que hizo God? I want to tell you something. God honors covenant. God honors covenant. And maybe that's why I'm here alive today with you, to just tell you that God keeps His word.
Yes,
Dios guarda su palabra. That's why God don't talk a lot. Es por eso Dios no habla. If God hasn't talked to you about your prayers yet, it's not because God don't want to answer. It's because the moment God says something, He's got to perform it. Al momento que Dios habla, lo tiene que hacer lo que Él dice. Es por eso Dios no habla mucho. That's why when people say, God told me this, God told me that, I don't believe everything I hear, because God don't talk that much. Dios no habla tanto así. God don't have a loose tongue. Dios no tiene una lengua suelta. When God speaks, though, when God speaks, cuando Dios habla, something's going to happen. Look at your neighbor and tell him, cuando Dios habla, when God speaks, tell your neighbor, when God speaks, something happens. When God gives His cup, when you give a covenant to God, cuando tú das a un pacto a Dios, God honors it. That's why people have changed their life, because they have found themselves in a place and they have said, Lord, if you do this, Lord, if you take me, you know, God will honor that. I think my dad had a particular prayer similar to what I'm saying. Is when you tell God, God, you know what, if you do this for me, I'll do this. You know, God loves that. God's a businessman.
Yes, He is.
If you don't believe me, look at all Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Every time God did something, they offered something. Or every time they wanted God to do something for them, look at Elijah. They went and they offered something on the table. When you put something on the table for God, when you make a covenant for God, God will keep his word. And I said, God, and watch this, I was crying. Y'all remember that? I was crying, I was shouting, yo estaba gritando, clamando a Dios. I was telling God, God, if you do this, if you do that. But God didn't listen to me. Dios no me escuchó. You know what he listened? I said, God, if you give me this life again, if you give me back my health, if you get me out of this place, this is what I told God, watch this. I said, I'll live for you. I didn't say much. All those other words, nothing happened. And there was one friend, Royal, that was right next to me. He went to church too. Él fue a la iglesia también y estaba ahí conmigo. And I remember, I said, God, I don't know what I was saying, but all I remember was saying, God, if you give me back my life, I'll serve you. And the moment I said that, look how God works.
Come on.
The moment I said that, my friend said, man, all of a sudden your eyes came back and rolled back in place, and your skin color was fine. And I jumped up from where I was at. And I remember this. There's something profound to my story that I'll never understand. I said, God, I know I just asked you to give me back life. I know that's a miracle, God, but Lord, I need you to take me out of this place. Quiero que me saca de este lugar. And when I said that, security guards came from all around. And do you know that that night we were with SPM? I don't know if y'all know this guy. SPM, South Park Mexican rapper. Anyways, we were with them that night. And this guy knows everybody. This guy's a rapper. Knows all the guys, knows all the security. Goes there probably every weekend. I don't know now. I think he's locked up. But anyways, the point of the story is that these security guards came from nowhere. And they looked at me. They didn't tell none of my friends. My friends were all drinking. They were all drinking in different places. They went and gathered my friends from all over. It's like they knew who I was with. The ambulances were there, by the way. They weren't in the club yet. But they went and gathered all my friends. They gathered me. They told me, they looked me in the eye. They said, we never, ever want to see you in this place again. And then when I turned back around, we were outside the club. I looked back. There was no one to be found. I asked my friends, who are those security guards? I said, we don't know them. They went back inside. One of my friends named Ted, mi amigo Ted, fue adentro del club. Fue a preguntar. He went to go ask for the bouncers. They said, those guys don't work here. There's no security guards by those names. There's nobody that came in here. And I believe that there were angels that God sent down to get me out of that place. Fue ángeles que yo creo que fue a rescatarme de ese lugar. I want to tell you something. When you make a pact with God, cuando hagas pacto con Dios, Dios respeta el pacto. God respects covenant. And there's one thing that God works with. You got to see the patterns of God. Tienes que ver las maneras de Dios. God, when he does something more than once, it becomes a pattern. Cuando Dios hace algo vez tras vez, ya es la manera de Dios. It becomes the way of God. We need to be in the ways of God. Tenemos que buscar los caminos de Dios. Amen. We need to look for the way of God. Because when you find the way of God, you find how God can work through your life. Amen. Vas a encontrar a cómo Dios puede trabajar a través de tu vida. And that's one thing that I just want to share, that when you get to that point in your life, cuando llegas a ese lugar de tu vida, God will always show up. Dios siempre se va a manifestar. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what it is you're going through. No me importa de qué lo que. I don't care if you had needles in your arms last night. No me importa si tenías esos jeringas en tus venas anoche. I don't care if you had a Budweiser last night. I don't care what you had yesterday. But if you come to God today, I know that God is faithful and just to receive you. Dios es justo y Dios es fiel que Él nos recibe. Paul said that while we were yet sinners, Jesus also, while we were yet sinners, He died for us.
Yes, He did.
Mientras que éramos pecadores, Cristo murió por nosotros. How many are saved this night? ¿Cuántos son salvos? ¿Cuántos no son salvos? How many are not saved today? How many are not saved? ¿Cuántos no son salvos?